Welcome to a dialogue with men where we get for firsthand what's in a man's mind, in a man's heart, in a man's world. As somebody said, it's difficult to get men around to share truthfully what's in their hearts, but not so today. Today we're getting men to tell us exactly what's going on in their minds. David says in the book of Psalms chapter 8, what is man talking to God? What is men that are mindful of him? The word mindful means you think about men. People seem to think that men have a difficulty to communicate what's in their hearts, what's in their life. Even when a woman has got the best of wives, he still struggles to communicate his feelings, his love. He's got one so to be helped and to be shown how to communicate what's on the inside so that he doesn't buckle up things, doesn't buckle up feelings, doesn't buckle up hurts, bitterness, and everything else. Let's find out from men. Let me not spoil it for you. Let's find out from men what's in the man's mind, what's going on in the man's world. Let's find out.
Thank you, Fundis. I just want to ask something. Kutwa indoda aikali, but I've realized by that saying, that's why some men are depressed, they suffer depression, and then those who sometimes don't suffer from depression, and then they tend to gender-based violence. So my question is, where do men offload? Skuluma noban.
It's a very good question, and I think for me, this is probably one of the best questions that I could be asked about men. Number one, as you said, they said men don't cry. When you're growing up, they said tigers don't cry. But that's a wrong statement. Remember, you cry because you're feeling pain. You cry because you want to relieve yourself of the intensity of pain and disappointment and challenges that you're facing for you to gain strength. Actually, they've shown that there is therapy in crying. And therefore, men, we need to teach men to learn how to cry. But the problem is that men feel it's a weak thing to do, to cry. But let's bring it closer to your question. Where do men go and offload? Okay, so I would say offloading, just as a principle, it's a better thing to do than to let the problems develop into stress and depression. Because remember, it's a vicious cycle. If something is not solved, it's always preoccupying your mind. It's always full in your mind. It's heavy on your mind. It then leads to depression. To offload, which means you allow somebody to provide another perspective to the problems that you have so that you don't take the decisions that may take without allowing somebody to speak into that. Make an example. If a man feels pain, his natural reaction say, let me shoot the person, let me stab the person, let me kill. But if you allow someone else to speak into that, to balance your fears, your anger, and show you another perspective, you may stop, retreat from that decision of killing. You may want to give someone else a chance. After all, what relationship, what marriage, what life doesn't have a challenge? You can't always kill when there's a challenge. You have to be a solution provider. So talking is helping men to provide solutions in pain. And right in the midst of pain, we need to provide solution. And that comes through men making other men comfortable to talk. And of course, we're going to make sure we remain confidential. They need to talk to pastors. We as leaders, we need to arm ourselves with skills on how to talk to men. And I think school principals, school teachers, people in authority, they need to learn how to listen to young boys when they talk. Bosses at work, you need to listen to how your co-workers are talking to you when they raise problems about their personal lives. We need to be there and take it very one step at a time and and show comfort and show care so that when men they feel they're taken seriously. It should not be always that men do their talking as a last resort. You should clear your spirit. As you have a difficulty, if you feel you can't solve it, find someone to talk to and find someone to share with. Start with a friend. Invest in good friendships. Invest in a friendship where when you talk to your friend, they could give you good advice, solid advice. And that's the time for us to start looking and thinking and checking around who's around us. And maybe the question for men to ask, can you trust your life and your secrets with a friend in your life? If you can't, try find another one. Try invest a friendship so that you can know I'm safe in this space. I can share and be shown so that I can continue with my life in the most safest and the most correct of ways. Another question.
just continue from where Slokes was saying, to say, where do men offload? As a boy, I'm born into a family. As a boy, I grew up into a community. And there is a lot of expectations that our communities and our cultures dictate us to behave, to believe in, and the ideals that they inculcate into us as men. Kuti indora aikali. And again, I am taught to be a primary provider of my family. If I fail to be a primary provider of my family, how do I navigate through life?
I like the question that you're asking, and maybe let's focus maybe intently on the failures of a man. And one of those, when I say failures of a man, what happens when a man is unable to fulfill his responsibilities? Maybe in the family, he's unable to provide bread, and then maybe his money is not enough, or he doesn't have a job, or he's just been laid off, been retrenched. And maybe this is a good guy who wanted to provide for the family, but is unable to. Okay, and I think let's talk about that for a moment. Number one, we must understand that men, like everybody else, when we lose something, when a man loses something, he needs support. And when I talk about support, they need for them to get out of it, to recover from the shock. Now, just imagine for a moment, what happens to a mind of a man when he loses a job? What's ringing in his mind? What am I going to say to my kids? What am I going to say to my wife? And maybe he's staying with his mother. Maybe he's supporting his family. You know, the black tax thing. What am I going to say to the family? What I've noticed at that moment of failure, men are not honest to put it on the table that I've lost a job. That's the first point that men need to do, is need to be honest and open exactly about what has happened. Sometimes we try to do other things and we prolong. They say, but this account shop has phoned and so they want their money, payments have not been done. What's going on? And as men say, we'll pay now. I think it's important to take your family along, to open up. And remember, you're not going to be less of a person. I think this is where how we are wired. A man thinks, I'm going to be respected less as a man if I were to tell them I don't have money anymore or I've lost a job. And I think that's the beginning of your strength to admit. Great recoveries have come out of men who are willing to lay it on the table and to be upfront, have a meeting with the wife, with the family, and say, for now, income is not going to come in, but I'm trying. I need your prayers, I need your support and your understanding. If a family has been looked after for some time and they just have to sacrifice for a year or for a couple of months, they'll stand on your side. It's amazing how, when people are told the truth and there's honesty in the house, how much the people can support you. I know sometimes there's been, of course, situations where husbands have been left by their wives because they could not afford anymore. But that's not what we're talking about. I think we want to promote a situation where family supports, family doesn't run away. When Papa loses a job, when Papa loses the business deal, when Papa doesn't get the tender, when Papa doesn't have the money anymore, it runs out of the bank, he's going to go there and hustle. He needs the support. He needs the love and the care of the family. And other things we can do as a man. And now the roles begin to shift in the house. Other things you can do as a man. Don't think it is negative that now you've got free time in your hands. You're no longer working. You can wash the dishes, help clean the floor. To help there doesn't mean that you've become a makoti. No. It just means you're putting into use, you're supporting the family as well. And I think there's a lot of paradigm shift, a thinking shift that needs to happen. But on another level is that as men, we need to put in, as churches, as leaders, we need to make sure that we have what we call curricular discussions with men so that these things can come up, so that men can help one another. So that we can, when you hear about something that can help a man for 1 month there, so that he keeps going, he keeps working, he keeps bringing the money, it helps him psychologically. But where a man is left to himself, there's no support, he's putting a wall, he's not being honest, nobody speaks into him, he goes through the pain session alone. He goes throughout that alone, and that's not healthy.
Just maybe again a commentary on that. For me, Ndadem Fundisi, is I think we as a society, we lack education or educating men, like free discussion like these ones that we are not engaging as brothers out there. We wait for a session like this that is maybe initiated by the church, but I cannot talk to folks, I cannot talk to other guys, Bumakamba and other people, and the young guys as well, just maybe to become a role model to them, because the society is expecting us as a man to have a material possessions, to boost our egos with the latest flashy car that you drive. But does that define me as a man, as a father, as a son, as a brother?
I appreciate the question. And my first response is, I think we were raised on the wrong values. Like, I'll tell you what I mean by the wrong values is that I appreciate some of the values that taught us how to be respectful men, but the other values that have suffered, that we have espoused and embraced, that have suffered, that needs a reviewal during this time of COVID. Number one, it ought not to be a problem if a man, you have to have an expensive car during COVID and you have to take it back for a smaller car. Let not that affect your ego, just to save a family. For you not to have the most expensive pair of shoes or suit, just for the sake of your family to survive, the family to provide food for your family, that shouldn't be a problem. I know we're raised with values that you must look like a man, smell like a man, dress like a man, and while the family is broke. And I think we're talking about values where we say, put the family first. Think about the family, put the family first. And then nobody, if the family knows you support it right, and you are behind it and you're there to provide, the family will support you back. And I think we need to not to put pressure on ourselves to prove a point. And I think times of proving a point are gone. What have they done to us? What have they done to us? The need to prove a point is that men have skewed their budgets. They've loaded the money they have towards proving a point, buying a big car, instead of making sure they invest in the education of the children. As a pastor, do you know how many children I have had to raise, have had to help pay the school fees, to make sure that some of them have graduated, while their fathers are busy buying GTIs, and they're not investing in their kids. It has been about them. It's been selfish. So we need to take out that selfishness to make sure that we are there to support the men. Another part which you've raised, which is very critical for me, is that while men are facing difficult times, the question is, how do we, and as society, not only as church, yes, as a church we initiated, but it needs to go out there, the word needs to go out there, that we need to save the man species and the male by getting them, remembering them, reminding them, I beg your pardon, to talk and to share. And I think if there's enough message in society that men need to share, need to open up, it will help us for men to understand you are not alone in this pain, in the difficult time. If they can send enough message and engage in activities that show men you are not awkward, you are not alone, we're there with you in the pain, we're supporting you. And those that want to share their stories, allow them to share their stories and say, I lost a job, I didn't know what to do, this is what happens. Maybe find a platform for men where they share, where they talk about their pain, where you hear another man talking about what he went through. And it's not being foolish to share your pain, but it's always encouraging the next person. And my advice, my practical advice is for 4 things. Number 1, get into a group, get to know people who will help you to bring out the best in you, and not you'll always hide who you are and leave a double standard. Number 2, make sure that you structure your family in such a way that when you're going through a difficult time, they'll be there to support you, but you must be honest and share it. Number 3, always tell yourself that I will never allow myself to carry difficult things alone until they have a negative effect on my health, psychological health. I will go out, be determined to seek help. from people I trust, from people in authority, from people who can be there, pastors, leaders, who can be available to you. Number 4, make sure that you do not, in your pain and in your difficult times as a man, you're facing difficult times, because men do other things. And some of the things that they do are external, they hide to the family. I will stop from going behind my family's back to create problems from them that they will hear about them down the street. A man has got to make sure, focus on what you have, and then God is going to bless you with that. Okay. I'll take other questions.
I'd like to take this one home and just, allow myself to be vulnerable for a bit. As a young kid, right, coming from the township, without any stable father figure for the longest of time, and probably if you see one, it's one from afar. How do I, find my way into, as I'm growing into my professional space, find my way and find someone who will act as a guideline and to direct me in this life thing? And also, when do I know what I'm exploited? And when do I know that I'm exploiting someone? Because as you said, Mfundi, you say that sometimes, our morals and our values have been tainted due to the society that we've grown in. And the first thing that I'd want to have someone as a mentor and check would be, what car do you drive? Where do you stay? And I forget the other significant things which can shape me. And given that you find one, what is it that I should do? And what is it that, for someone who wants a mentor and for someone who thinks he's ready to be a mentee to a young boy, what is it? What are the cutthroat things and what are the significant things that we should be cognizant of, that we should do and we shouldn't do? Because also we are as for us, we are in a church environment where I believe in the name of church, we allow a lot of things that we shouldn't allow. And what is it that, just to sum it up, if I'm looking for a mentor, if I'm looking for someone to guide me into the right path and to the direction of life, what do I look for? What are the qualities that I look for? And also for someone who preferably thinks that they are ready to take upon themselves to guide a young person like me, what is it that they should do and what is it that they shouldn't do?
Let's start on the qualifications of a mentor. When I talk about qualifications, I don't mean the academic qualifications. I say what type of a person should qualify to mentor you. Okay. So number 1, let's look at the purpose of a mentor. There's a difference between a mentor and a coach. Okay. So mentors are people who have made it in their field or have made it in life, and they're willing to share the experiences of how they got there. And the purpose of sharing experience is to lift up someone who is where they were to bring them to where they are now. That would be, in summary, the function of a mentor. So number 1, you look for someone who has made it. Now, right there are other concerns around the mentoring space. I'm in that space where we talk about coaches and mentors. I participate in those discussions. One of the discussions that we have around mentors is, are you going to look at a mentor who's successful all round, or are you going to look at a mentor who's successful in a particular area? And it depends. Maybe at a younger age, you need someone who's an all-round person. Maybe marriage, they love their wife, they love their kids, they take their business seriously. So to become an all-rounded young man, you can learn all aspects of life from this one mentor. But sometimes it's difficult to get mentors who can provide all-round. One of the things that you can do in those cases is to lower your standards in terms of based on your needs, because mentors have got to come based on your needs. If your need at that time is to find someone who can show you how to treat a woman right, develop a relationship, get married, and have a good family, you may have to lower your demands and your standards and find someone. They may not necessarily be top of the business, but they are good in the game of looking after their families. And everything is in place. They love their wives, they treat their wives right, they treat their children right, they're looking after their homes right, and they are a provider in their home. You can get around. So in mentoring, you can raise the bar, lower the bar based on what you need without compromising. And let me say that, without compromising what you need to know. So the market of the mentors is wide open. So you look for that. Okay, there are those mentors who are good in business, who show good attributes in how to run a business, but they don't show good attributes in how to behave themselves. Their lives, their lifestyle is all over the show. There's a tint and sprouts of unethical behavior, but they're good in business. You must know that association breeds assimilation. Once you follow them as they are, you might end up doing other things that they do that are not necessary. So then you must embrace an ethical view, a moral view in choosing a mentor, a coach. To say, I'm choosing a coach because I believe when I learn from this person, I'm going to get my life, my character is going to develop, my resilience, that's character. Who I am, the being, your being, it's my self-control, my self-mastery, to master my desires, not to set boundaries for myself. So there are people who can help you shape that part of your life. Or maybe have two mentors, some that are good in business and some that are good in character. And so that they can speak into your life and speak the character aspect. What I found, the reason why I raise character, is that some of us who study, because I'm involved in this space of coaching and mentoring, is that some of us who study leadership, we find out that some of the top companies in the world and some of the scandals that have happened in top business, top businesses, is because of failure of character. It's a moral problem. Are people who are skilled and sometimes are top accountants, top managers, top CEOs, but who just could not control the greed in their lives, who could not control certain things, and they've had to be dismissed and companies closed down. They were fired, starting from the Enrons, from the Enron company late in the 2000, 2007, 2008, and 2002, starting from the Enrons right up into companies we won't mention the name in South Africa today, but it's a moral failure. It's a character issue. Learned, good in their job, technical skills, but no moral component, no moral ethical injunction that they can follow. So you can't just follow someone who's gonna make you to be good in your profession and never good in character. They go together. When character goes wrong, you lose a good name, your business is gone. So you need to be well-rounded up. I think that's what you need to do. So what are the things they need to do in your life? If you're mentored by someone, they can't use you for free and take advantage of you. There's got to be ethical boundaries. For example, people I mentor, I'll never ask them, for example, in my mentoring preaching, and I've got 2 invitations at the same time. I'm supposed to speak I could double book myself. And I ask someone I'm mentoring to go speak there. If there's a financial reimbursement, the people who want to thank financially for speaking, I don't allow that money to come to me. I'll allow it to go to the person who went to speak for me. So that you see, there's certain rules so you can't abuse and take advantage of your mentees. A mentor has got mentees. You can't take advantage of those mentees. And I think I need to open up wide as I close this part of discussion about mentors and mentees. And I think I need to talk about this part. We as people who are grown and adults in churches, in a church space, we need to mentor younger kids. Even if mentoring means you don't have to be good in business, but even if mentoring and making sure they finish matric, they do something with their matric, they behave right. As long as we can get teenagers not to have children before they get married, that's the better. Because what do they do with the kids if they're kids themselves? So there's a lot of social ills that we need to contribute to as leaders in church, as men in church, as guys and ladies and women in church, so that we mentor the younger generation so they know what to put first. They don't put last things first and first things last. And I think it's very important for us to deal with that.
Well, sadly enough, Mfundisi, we live in a very angry world.
Yeah.
And it's an angry world which is caused by men.
Yeah.
And there's a discourse between fathers and their sons.
Yeah.
Right? This is whether a son was unavailable or a father was unavailable, but there's just a discourse when it comes to that. And interestingly enough, I saw a meme just midweek, and it was just stating that, it was saying that a white father can, or rather a white son can say to their father, I love you. And easily the father could say, I love you back. But when we come to a black son who can say to their father, I love you, well, you can just guess what the answer might be. You might get an okay, you might get a you might get something, but you will never get the response that you're looking for. And it is these small things that ends up creating a man who's angry as well. And it becomes a generational thing. And when you become an adult, then it comes to a stage when a father will say, I'm a mess, I created this mess. And the son will say, I am who I am because of my father. Then how can the two bridge a gap and say that we want to fix this thing now? I see that as a father, I wronged you. I see that as a father, I did not do right. And the son is also blaming the father. So the two now, how can they reconnect, build, so that the relationship can bear nice fruits?
And that's a very good question. And I think there's something that needs to be done to our parenting strategy as African people. And I think those that have got it going the right way, big ups to you. But the majority of us is that there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the parenting strategy. I'll let you know how parents are parenting their children. So what we do is that most of the time is that, particularly from father to son, we concern ourselves with paying school fees, driving them to school, and checking their marks, whether they pass or fail, telling them to wash the car. We raise them like military. And there's nothing wrong on a regimented menu. I call it a regimented menu, which means there's things to follow. You wash the car, you wake up. But we never focus on the psychological needs of the child. Remember, research has shown that the kids that get to the top are the ones whose psychological side has been taken care of. They've been loved right. They've been affirmed right. So the dad has taken the time that, my son, I love you. I'm behind you. You might not have got 90%, you got 60, but let's work on it together. This time you can get 65, by the way. You can get 70. So we work on the psychological part. We strengthen the mind that drives the results. We strengthen the emotions that drive the growth of this young man. When psychologically anybody has been maintained, when we as parents could maintain the psychological part of our children, this is where the gospel comes in. Because we know with Jesus and God, when God saw Jesus among people and God showed up to talk about Jesus, he said, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. So God let everybody know that he loves his son and he's pleased with his son. So as parents, we shouldn't shy away from serving the psychological part, the spiritual part, that we are well pleased with our son. I love you too much. I'm pleased with you. You're my son. Other things we can work out. You're not my son because you get 100. You're not my son because you clean the car. You're not my son because other things we can work out. Just I love you for who you are. And let me show you how things are done in life. And so how to bridge the gap, you asked me the question, how to bridge the gap, is that parents, fathers, we need to spend time with our sons much more frequently. And maybe go out. Take a weekend out with your son. Let them get to know you. Let them ask, get them spending time with you, Friday night with you, Saturday with you the whole day, until they come to a Sunday where they soft enough to ask you everything. And they open up and say, Dad, what about that? My daddy don't do that. So we have an open discussion. Until as a parent you come to that, it's not weakness. You are not losing the fight by having an open discussion with your child. Today's kids ask a lot of questions, by the way, and it doesn't mean connote disrespect. You're not being disrespected as a parent. You are being asked a lot of questions. As a parent, you need to be open. You need to be transparent. You need to talk about everything else. Talk about sex. Talk about the right time to date. Share your concerns as a parent. Don't shout at them. Don't do that. Tell them why you feel the way you feel. Tell them your fears. Tell them what you think they would do if you to give them certain permissions. Tell them what you don't want to see. Maybe sharing your fears and your concerns would be better understood than sharing your shoutings. And I think it's very important for us to parent our children, to talk to them, take them along, show them the good and the bad, develop a rapport of making sure that we share, we talk, we think together. We raise together. And that's what Jesus did. He came from a high level of being God. He came to our level. He spoke to us at our level. That's why he was able to raise us up to a level of how he thinks. There's no way you can raise someone up unless you come down to their level. And as parents, I'm talking about how to bridge the gap. We can bridge the gap by making sure we spend time with the children. We open up. We talk about everything on the table. And be honest and say, this is not yet time to talk about, but talk about what you can talk about. But you could never keep your son if you don't keep the communication. You can't keep your son if you don't keep his mind close to you. You can't keep your son if you don't keep his manners and his psychological part being fed, nourished, and maintained properly. As a father, you're going to lose the battle. You'll still have a child, but you'll never have a close son. And that's what is going to happen. Oh my God, you've just heard for yourselves. The questions that have come up in this session are keeping me thinking. And remember, starting from the first one, where do men offload? Ouch. I want you to start thinking about it. Where as a man, based on what you're going through now, what you can't figure out, where you can offload and talk to. We are available to you. And the next question that I was asked, how to choose a mentor? How to make sure that you choose a mentor? You must make sure you know how to choose people to talk to you, to show you, to how to run a family, how to treat a woman, how to be faithful to a woman, how to stay true to your commitments, how to follow up, be faithful to your job, how to keep a job, how not to, take advantage of people. It's very important. Make sure that you don't take advantage of them, because once you are taught in that space, you'll never take advantage of girls and women in your life. You'll make sure that you're truthful to them. And I was also asked, how do we bridge the gap as men with our sons, where there's a gap in between, make sure our sons are loved, are well taken care of, and our sons, we address ourselves, we go into their world and find out from them everything that needed to be. And I was also asked, of course, and Baba asked me a big question and made a point that is very valid, that our values that we have been brought up with get the better of us. It's a time for us to revisit our values, to check on our values, which are the ones that are stopping us from being great fathers, not just fathers. Great men, not just being men. It's up to us as men. The ball is in our courts. Find yourself in a relationship where you can open up and ask yourself a question. Am I safe in the space of the friends that I keep? If you're not safe, find another friend that can help you to go, to grow, and to get better. God bless you. Of course, it will be aired and you'll be watching it, and we will be happy if you can give us your feedback and tell us what you thought about it so that we can plan better for the next time. God bless you in Jesus' name.